Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne, founder of Deadline Funnel. Listen, one of the things that I preach all the time is that to build a business that truly gives you the time freedom to support your family, your life, and your passion, you're going to have to eventually shift away from doing launch after launch after launch and build an evergreen system that brings clients into your business automatically. That's the whole reason I'm doing this summit, quite honestly. And it's also the focus of today's training. You're going to hear from someone who teaches people exactly how to do this. My guest is a seven-figure entrepreneur, podcaster, and investor with a goal of helping entrepreneurs make way more money with their course on Evergreen. She specializes in sales psychology, one of my favorite topics as well, and automation, something I believe in, which is what she teaches course creators inside of her mentorship, Recurring Profit. Please welcome Haley Burkhead.
Thank you so much, Jack. I'm so excited that I'm here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. So I obviously had an advanced version of some of the slides and some of the things you're going to be talking about. And as you and I were talking about before we went live here, this is right up my alley. This is what I try to teach people how to do. This is what I live. So I think we're going to have a really, really fun conversation because when someone can build that business that you teach students how to build, and frankly, my team helps build the tools to make that possible, really people can have a life-changing impact. Maybe we should start with maybe a very brief story of maybe a favorite student of yours that had a big change in his or her life.
Yes. Yeah, membership sites are so great. I know, I think a lot of us have all come from client work, typically, like a good majority. And so this was a web developer who decided, you know what, I'm tired of trading my time for money. I'm going to go make a membership. And she did. And within 45 days, hit 90K months, which is more than she made in an entire year of doing web development services. Obviously, that's insane,
Right.
Not the average. For me, it took me about 6 months to get to 40-ish thousand a month with my membership site. But I think what's great is like Jack was talking, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, the recurring revenue portion of it, it's just so stable.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's two components of this, and we're going to be focusing on the membership side. And also I think we're going to start with how it is that you get people into a membership. Because, it's one thing to say, I want to build a membership, but you need to be able to bring people in. But I just want to take a quick side note and talk about how, just very briefly, I just want to acknowledge that not only is the Evergreen, client acquisition part so key and fundamental, but when you can have at least a component of your business, if not the main business, being that recurring revenue model, it really builds that flywheel where you don't have to start every month at zero. And so that's, for us, that's been in the form of, instead of a membership, it's been in the form of software with either monthly or annual payments. And it's one of those things that, builds over time, and you look back several years later, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how far we've come, because every month hopefully builds on the previous one when you apply what we're going to be talking about here. So let's dive in and talk about the funnel, because, getting people from who have never heard about us to saying, hey, this might be the thing that's going to take me to the next level of either my career or my love life or my business or whatever it is that they're trying to change. That's really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, that's where we need to really actually know how to do this. So how can you help us understand your process that you take people through to bring clients into a recurring membership business?
I'm glad we're starting with sales, because money is the oxygen of your business. Your membership program can't survive if you're not adding those new paying students in your program. So I broke down a sales machine, and I know you won't be able to read this, but you can kind of see it drawn out on a piece of paper. I'm going to walk you through this. If you want to pull out a notepad, if you want to pull out an Evernote, maybe we can draw this out together, and you can I'm a visual person. I need to see it for it to click. So if you do too, get a pen and paper and let's let's draw it out together. So we're going to start at the very top, which is the registration page. This is where you're collecting leads. A lead is someone that signs up for your webinar, right? In this case, we're going to be talking about an automated webinar that is sending paying students to your membership program daily. That's what we're going to go over. So the registration page collects those leads. That's going to send people to a confirmation page. And the confirmation page, there's a few things here. We want to, number one, clarity. Yes, you've signed up for the webinar, right? But two, we actually want to use this confirmation page to build your audience for you. Because who likes posting on Instagram every day? Who likes posting new content every week? I'm going to guess the answer is not you, because especially if you're a membership site owner, you're probably posting a lot of content in your membership too. That's a lot. It's a recipe for burnout. Like I don't believe in balance, but I believe in energy. If you're just dispersing energy everywhere, that is a recipe for disaster. So I say, let's get strategic. And by being strategic, let's let this confirmation page build your audience. So what this does is, instead of you starting from the front end, building an audience to get leads, we're going to be able to get leads, and those leads build your audience on the back end. Okay, so that's what the confirmation page does. Now they've become a lead and they have been confirmed. Built your audience. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to send them show up emails, and that's going to send them to the automated webinar event page. I call them event pages. You can call them landing pages, whatever you would like. And this is where you can insert a deadline funnel timer too on that page. Perfect spot for that. I recommend having like a bonus that they basically get if they sign up within that time frame on the webinar. I think that's a perfect place to just plug that on in. But the show up emails, the purpose is for them to actually watch. What's the point of an automated webinar if they're not going to watch it, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have the automated webinar event page. The job of that is to close a sale, right? Is to be like, yes, I definitely want in this membership. This is the perfect spot for me. Now, this is where I recommend, there's two types of sales psychology. Okay, there's attraction sales psychology and there's conversion sales psychology. And I feel like, Jack, you and I can talk about this for hours and hours and nerd out over stuff like this. But attraction sales psychology is actually, so the design of it is to prime the lead. So it's not just to get the lead, it's also to prime the lead to convert. And then conversion sales psychology, the purpose of that is to take someone that might not know you and is not warm, and the warm-up process could take minutes to an hour or less. That's the goal, to become a new paying student of your membership site. So those are the purposes of those two. So attraction sales psychology is going to happen in your traffic section. That's all day 3. So show up for day 3 for sure, the traffic section. Conversion sales psychology is what needs to be weaved in throughout your entire webinar. Here is a mistake that I see with a lot of people that create these automated webinar funnels, is they build a webinar that is designed for their warm audience. So like, let's say you're launching to your Instagram following, or let's say you're launching to your email list, right? You have a webinar that's designed for them, and then you have a great conversion rate and they buy, which is amazing. Like, go you, but they bought because of you. Mm-hmm. And you are not scalable if you're scaling to cold leads. Now, you're scalable if you're going to keep growing your audience, because then your audience size increases your automated webinar leads. But that's something to keep in mind. I just want you to have in the back of your mind when you're building this out. Okay, so we have the lead coming in. The lead now goes to the confirmation page, which builds your audience. You can choose one, podcast, Instagram, like whatever you want. I would choose one thing, not multiple. Then we have the show up emails that are designed to get them to watch the webinar, and the webinar page is designed to convert. Now, this is where the choose your own adventure happens. They either buy, you made a sell, which is freaking awesome, or they have not bought yet. So if they have not bought yet, we're going to keep going on this adventure train now. So over here, this is where the sales emails happen. I recommend this being 5 days. So the first 3 or 4 days, I would send 1 email. The 4th day, I would send 2. And the 5th day, I would send 3. If you just want like a tangible number there, that's what I would recommend. And again, the conversion sales psychology. If you've built your webinar in a way that converts to cold leads, then why not just bring that on over to the sales emails? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's designed to convert, Well, here's the thing. What if they're watching, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of it, but they missed this really awesome part? I know everyone teaches webinars differently. I believe it has to be like mind-blowing value. So the mind-blowing value portion, I recommend that happening from like the 10 to 30 minute mark, where it's just like, whoa, that's the parts that we can pull in. That's the part we can pull in over those sales emails, because that's going to do a few things. You're selling with a lot of value, right? But it's built with conversion sales psychology, so it's actually going to sell them. And it's where we can even weave in testimonials through that as well. If you have testimonials, that's definitely a place to put them. So we have the sales emails. Now there's another choose your adventure. There's a they buy, which is another yay. Like I always imagine the party hat emoji. We're like, woo, like blowing the confetti and stuff. And then there's the not yet. So this is where it gets really fun, because this is where profit stacking happens. They have exited the automated sales machine at this point. If they are not yet, they have gone through becoming a lead, watched or not watched our automated webinar. They have maybe opened or not opened our sales emails, right? Now they have exited, but they're not a dead lead. Their kid might have threw up on their shoe and they didn't watch the webinar, and maybe they gave you a weird email address. I don't know, right? So it's not that they're a dead lead. It's just that they might be a distracted lead or a confused lead or whatever, right? So what we want to do with those people, I put them in a lead return series. So it kind of acts as like a boomerang. And what happens is it's a profit stacking effect. So we typically see from our clients, we add, I would say up to 120 days, to be honest, like anywhere from 30 to 120 days, you see the new students rolling in. These are icing on the cake students for sure. Anywhere from 5 to 10% extra tend to convert within a 120-day period. So what happens is you're making sales 3 ways now through this automated sales machine. You're not just hoping on one. You're not just like saying, oh my gosh, the webinar better work or the emails better work. It's like, no, we actually have a backup system to where if that doesn't, okay, cool. We have a 9-month lead return series that is designed to get them to become a membership student if it's a good fit for them. And that's the key too, right? Because we don't want a bunch of people that aren't good fits in our membership site, because then what's going to happen? Retention issues. And that is not fun. So anyways, that's how all of that works. That way you're putting in work once on the top, right? Getting the leads, but then there's 3 ways to make money. So you're getting paid almost triple for doing the same amount of work. That's the goal there.
Wow. So a quick some follow-up questions. So the 3 ways, let's just cover that again. There's the webinar. I think that you were talking about the follow-up emails. Is that method number 2?
Yep. The webinar, sales emails, and the lead return series. Yep.
Okay. Now, forgive my handwriting and drawing, but I was trying to listen to everything that you're saying and draw at the same time. So is it something approaching this?
Yes, I am sure, but yes. Yeah. That should be. I think you're missing a yes or no, not yet, but yeah.
Well, we can. I'll get you to scan or send me a photograph later. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So this let's talk. So I want to come back to the lead return system, because I know that that's a really key component of your system, and it's something that we talk with our clients about and show them how to implement this in Double End Funnel. But I want to get your thoughts on it. First, I want to ask, I know that sometimes selling a membership can be a little bit different than selling, say, a course. So can you talk to me about anything that you think is different? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think, no, Jack, it's actually the same exact thing. Is there something unique that you teach your students when it comes to, okay, because selling a course is sort of like, kind of low commitment. I mean, it may be high financial commitment, but I'm not saying, yes, I'm going to pay this month after month after month. Whereas joining a membership, even though I could cancel anytime, do I really want to be involved with this? So I don't know, speak to me about what you share with students about the offer structure, or anything that you put into the actual selling of the membership itself.
I think it depends on how the course or membership site is structured to how you position to sell it, you know?
Right.
So like for instance, a course there's typically more of a result oriented thing to grab onto. Like, why are you buying this? Because I'm going to learn how to train my dog really well or whatever. I'm not going to be embarrassed when my friends come over and my dog barks. That's a pain point for me, obviously, if you didn't hear the dog barking in the background. So let's just go on with this example. But then Heidi, someone that I know that has a membership around dog training, I was talking to her as like, she had a membership around this. And I think if you just say there's a dog training membership, that's different than saying this membership will help you change this in your life. And I think no matter whether you sell a course or membership site, you always should have something that they're changing this life, because at the end of the day, people buy change. Now, most membership sites, if you're structuring it around live calls and monthly content, they're buying for more content and access to you. And is that a strategy? Absolutely, yes. And can you be successful with that? Of course you can. But the goal is for me, the goal was to have a passive membership business, not like a hyperactive membership business that depended on me showing up every hour, every day for it to work, right? Like if my kid is sick, I wanted to go take care of him or pick him up from daycare. Like that's an example. Or like if my mother-in-law's sick. So if that's the case with you, I would suggest positioning your membership around, if someone bought from you, what change would actually happen in their life? Like, what are they experiencing right now? And I know we've all done the target audience exercises, I know, but like, what if, think about really embarrassing scenarios in their life. Is their friend came over and their dog would not stop jumping on them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I know what they're thinking. I'm a terrible dog owner, right? So, okay, if you join my membership site, we're going to stop that for good, because that's not a fun situation. This is what's changing for you. They're going to buy that change. And then they're buying the change, they're not buying you, and the change is scalable.
Okay, so let's dig a little bit deeper on that, because I think a lot of people, when they think of a membership site, they are thinking about group coaching. You said that's totally fine. So if someone is coming in for this scalable membership where there's not as much or maybe zero group coaching, can you talk me through how you position the membership, not just in terms of the copywriting and the psychology, but also in terms of the actual functioning, so that they get a great value out of it and they never want to leave?
So there could be group coaching. It's just really how it's positioned. Like instead of positioning it as access to you, it would be this group coaching is you showing up live to, it's like everything that you're positioning is getting you closer to the change that you're buying, because the group or the group coaching, you could have someone that's super successful in your program and pay them to now lead the calls and say, well, this person had this change, so now they're giving you tips and auditing or whatever. But sorry, where were we going with that? I was thinking about the group coaching positioning.
Yeah. So if you have a membership where group coaching is not a major component of what it is that you're offering, I'm just wondering, how would you actually structure the membership itself so that people are, from day one, even when you're building this up and maybe you only have a few dozen or a few hundred people in your membership, how are they getting value? Like fundamentally, how are you structuring the membership so that they're getting value, and how are you messaging it in your webinar or your emails?
Yeah. So this is the way I would do this, because I think you're going to have more sales on the front end if you have some kind of system that's proven to work, that's going to create the change, which they buy. So if you're selling the system, like the dog training system, I'm making that up. Well, that's going to create the change. Well, then what's feeding the system to make it almost like foolproof? Well, that could be the group coaching calls. That could be your community. That could be, so you're positioning everything that you already exist in your membership site. You got the community, you got maybe it's the monthly content too. And all that's feeding the system that's creating the change. So it's really just about positioning what you currently have into something that is basically that it sells itself. Instead of you trying to feel like you're like, oh my gosh, no, come buy this. I promise it's cool. Like, have you ever thought, no, I promise my membership site is so cool. They just don't understand until they get in. Okay, well, that's how you're explaining it, which is awesome because it's totally controllable, right? You can control how you explain it. You just have to change it. So that's what I recommend, is kind of centering everything around a system. And if I were you, I would have something like maybe 3 to 5 core videos. That's the system. That's like, oh, I mean, I know you already know this. What are the 3 to 5 things that you know people need in order to have a dog that's well behaved? Okay, well, now that's your core system. And then really your membership site students just need to get really good at that skill, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's go back to the, do you call it I want to call it the same, I want to use your terminology. Is it the lead return system?
Yeah, lead return series.
Okay, so the lead return series. Let's talk about how you structure that and some of the finer points on how someone could set that up, because to me, I think that that's a game changer that a lot of people overlook. We teach people, you can send people back through your funnel, not immediately, not like the day after the deadline, but you can wait a certain period of time and bring them back through, because one of the things that we teach, and then I'll hand it over to you, is right message to the right market at the right time. Well, you can't really control the time, but
True.
something that's not right for someone now, or like you mentioned, maybe they got distracted. Well, send them back through after 30, 60, 90 days. So what are some of the key things that you teach students to put into that lead return system versus what someone without this knowledge would do, which would be a mistake?
Yeah. Okay. So there is multiple emails that are sent every single week. I recommend 2 to 3 emails a week, and this could be all the way up to 9 or 12 months. There are 3 types of emails. You're going to have the value email, the conversion email, and the audience email. So the value email is, honestly, if you've done your webinar really well, you can pull from your webinar. That should create 20 to 30 emails right there. But there you go. You have your value email. That's typically, what I recommend is answering questions, because I think a lot of us, have you ever thought, I don't know how to create content from scratch. I'm literally sitting at a blank screen. If you know your audience well enough, you should never have to create audience from scratch ever again for the entire lifetime of your business. If you know your audience well enough, because they should tell you exactly what they want you to talk about, the questions they're asking, the concerns they're bringing up, right? Like if you have a question of like, I'm trying to think. I went to dog shot collar, and I think those are, but it's like, I don't want to go that route.
Right, some people could frown on that, yeah.
Let's say
my dog constantly runs away, or my dog heals until I have a dog. So my dog heals until they smell something that they want to go sniff, and they're not paying attention.
That's a good one.
Okay. So
that's a good one.
I actually deal with this all the time. Like, okay, like when I have the food in my hand, you're paying attention, but when someone else has the food or there's something more interesting, like he's like, forget it, I'm out of here.
Okay, so if you're a dog trainer, Jack and I need you in our lives, obviously. So you'd have an email all around about, does your dog run away when you open the front door? Like, how specific is that? That's a value email, and it would lead back to your webinar. And you can have a shortened version of your webinar that it leads to a landing page where they don't have to opt in. And then that one could have a separate deadline funnel on it, because I know with deadline funnel, if they're on the same page, it might be easier if you create a separate landing page for these people and then have a separate deadline funnel for these people. That might be the best if you're using that. And also, deadline funnel has a feature where you can add this into emails. Like, how cool is that? So it could actually sync up with the timers, just like random strategy ideas. Definitely use that in these lead return series. So that's an example of value emails. Basically, what do your people find valuable? That should be easy for you. Then there's the conversion emails. This should be straight to selling. And this is another thing that you can pull from your webinar as well, which is the sales portion of it. Those are just sales. Really, what would you put on a sales page? Okay, then you're going to break that up into emails. That's what I would do. And I think a lot of people think that emails have to be long. There are some emails that I send that are 3 paragraphs. One of them, I think it was 3 sentences. Like, it does not have to be anything crazy. Instead of reverse engineering a word count, why not reverse engineer the purpose of the email? So based on these emails, the purpose is, okay, this is value. Well, what do they find valuable? And then it could be 2 paragraphs like, oh no, but that's going to change their life. Who cares if it's 2 paragraphs, because you're reverse engineering the value proposition of it, right? Okay, then the third email type is audience. And this is your sole purpose to build your audience. I'm telling you, I just hired a team to post. I'm not consistent. Like, I know advice is like, be consistent because I'm not consistent. I just know that about me. I'm not going to be. But I will say you can make multi-millions and not be consistent. And this is proof. Like, it's about the strategy. Is audience building important? Yeah. But is it necessary for growth? No. And can your sales machine build it for you? Yes. So the audience emails, what I would suggest is, let's say you have them going to, I would focus on one account because that's the easiest. Don't do sporadic. Don't give them multiple choices. So I'm just going to say Instagram. I think a lot of us are using Instagram or Facebook right now, or LinkedIn or something. So let's say Instagram. Okay, well, your Instagram should have, I call this the passive traffic catcher system, but basically it's where that one account should be able to catch traffic really, really, really well. So let's say this email is going to your Instagram account. Maybe you're having it go to a specific highlight section in your Instagram. Okay, I'm just making this up as I go. So if that's the case, that highlight section should be designed to convert. What's great is this is evergreen, completely automated. You're sending them to something that stands alone. You're sending them to something that you've created once, and then that's sending them something that's completely automating the sales of your membership. So all this is happening on autopilot. What's great is you're setting this up once and then it just feeds itself. But your business basically just feeds all the marketing and sells itself, which is awesome. That's kind of the goal, because then what are you going to do? You got to show up and create how you want to instead of how you feel like you have to,
Right. Yeah. And one of the things that I know that you're a big believer in is, once you have this machine, not only can you show up and create, but you can also use this to fund bringing brilliant people onto your team, like copywriters or the people who are going to post on all your socials and all these things that, you and I aren't going to do, but we know, yeah, that's valuable. It's just, I'm not personally going to do it. So how can I hire someone to do that? I mean, I have someone helping me with almost every step of setting up this virtual summit. So, Bailey, shout out to you. And so things like that. And so, reinvesting in your business is so much easier when you're not constantly live launching. It's also so much easier when you have people going into something where there's that recurring profit. But I want to come back to, I took a quick tangent. I want to come back real quick. I know we're kind of running out of time on the main section, and we're going to go deep into the, some of the details about how to set up that membership site and some of the key things that your students ask and some of the answers to those questions. But before we do, I just want to make sure that I understand your terminology. Obviously, I know what an audience is, but an audience email in your terminology, I'm picking up that what this means is that you're sending people to a place where they can, instead of just being on your email list, they could be following you on Instagram, and they're also looking at your posts, and that also kind of is like another touch point to feed them back into your funnel, but it's not directly from email to the sales page. It's email to maybe Instagram, and they kind of peruse around there, spend a few hours going through all the Instagram stuff, and then come back through your funnel. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I tell people to pick one audience group, whether that's a Facebook group, Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn page, whatever, right? But one audience group. Then you basically design that entire social media presence on that one platform to design to convert. That way, anyone that's sent there, whether it's emails or maybe someone else is sending the traffic, wherever, it's literally designed to just pump new membership students in the door for you. That's kind of the goal of that. Yeah,
Okay, and I got to ask this last question before we go. So the lead return system, I thought that it was going to be something where it was you completely change gears and start talking about something else, and then maybe 30, 60, 90 days later, you go into a little bit more, bringing them back, warming them up. But it sounds like what you're talking about is right away, you start sending out 3 different types of emails every single week, 2 or 3 of these emails every week, some of them pointing to the audience building, some of them pointing to, let's see if I remember this, conversion, some of it pointing to, what was the third one?
Conversion, value, audience.
Value. Okay. And so all of these emails, at least, even if it's not a direct to, here's how to watch the webinar or here's how to purchase, you're giving them an opportunity, a breadcrumb back to becoming a buyer. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like deadline funnel. When you hear that software, oh yeah, timers that will help me sell. Like that is what you think of when you think of deadline funnel. And that's what people want. If they sign up for a deadline, I mean, you're at the summit, right? So if you're watching this, deadline funnel helps you have timers that help sell your membership or course or whatever you're selling. If that's the case, then you wouldn't want to hear emails about anything else. You're going to want to hear emails about what you associate with how that company or that business or that person will help make your life or business easier. So then I say, we'll stick to one thing. Like for me, passive course business, passive membership business, like that's my one thing. So if you sign up, that's all you're going to hear about, because anything else would be distracting and also probably not even what you want to hear in the first place. And then you get unsubscribes for no reason because they could have been a qualified lead,
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Wow. This was really, really fantastic. And I know this was a lot of value. I'm going to, after we hang up here, after the advanced session, I'm going to get a copy of the diagram that you drew. And so that we can pass that along. But we got to end the main section here. Now in the advanced session, as I mentioned, Haley and I are going to cover the details of what it takes to build a successful membership. She asked her audience some of the questions like, what are the main things that you would want to know? And so we're going to bring those up and answer them. So join us in the advanced session before the price goes up. I want you to click one of the buttons you see on the page right here, somewhere around our smiling faces. Click that button and join us in the advanced session. The special deal is yours as long as you don't procrastinate and let the deadline take it away from you. So now before we go, Haley, I want to make sure that you tell everyone how they can learn about you. And if you have any last thoughts, that's fine. Share those as well. But primarily, if someone is really, really excited about some of the tactics and strategies that you're sharing, where can they go to learn more about you and what you do for clients?
Yes. So the easiest way is there's a 26-minute breakdown of cold free leads, automation, sales psychology, all that stuff at recurringprofit.com/free. So recurringprofit.com/free. And I'm on Instagram. I answer every DM. I love Instagram. So go to @HaleyBurkhead and go hang out with me over there. DM me and let me know, like, hey, I saw you and Jack. Like, that would be cool. I'd love to hear about your membership. If you have any questions, I'm an open book. So just ask away.
All right. Fantastic. And then in the meantime, we're going to jump over into the advanced session. I hope to see you there.